Hey, what's up internet? My name is Nikki and today I'll be doing a fangirl talk. So for those of you who do not know what this is basically just me talking about something I have been loving and wanting to share with you guys. And yes, no spoilers whatsoever because it's just a small, simple overview of what I thought and why other people should probably read, watch, or whatever I'm going to talk about. So let's get into this. I will be fangirling on Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Sáenz. So this book was really good. So before I get into what I thought and why you should read it, I'm gonna tell you what it's about. The story revolves around two Mexican-American teenage boys in the late 1980s in El Paso, Texas. You meet Ari, aka Aristotle, who's this very angry teenager and constantly always in his head. And one day he ends up meeting Dante, who is this happy-go-lucky kid who kind of is very sure of himself and sort of trying to accept who he is. This story kind of revolves around them being sort of in a transitional state where they're not boys anymore, but they're not quite men yet, and they're just trying to understand who they are. I gave this book a 5 out of 5 on Goodreads because I really enjoyed it. When I first heard about this book, I was kind of deceived because I thought it was a typical love story where you meet character A who falls in love with character B, but B wants to tell the whole world that they're madly in love, and character A kind of just doesn't want anything to do with that. He wants it hidden. He doesn't even want anybody to know they're friends. This is what I imagined this book to be, but I was completely and utterly wrong. The story revolves around obviously Aristotle, who is very angry teenager, and he's angry because his parents won't talk about his brother, and he wants so badly to know who he was, what he did, why he doesn't ever get to see him. And because of this, it creates other problems for Ari because he's constantly always angry, and because of him being so angry, he's constantly always in his head, he's picking fights. And then one day, this mysterious boy comes out of nowhere and befriends Aristotle, and that is Dante. And Dante is the opposite of Aristotle. While Aristotle prefers to keep everything locked up in his head, Dante is the opposite, where he just wants you to know what he's feeling. He wants to talk about everything. He's the light to Ari's darkness, essentially. And the story kind of threw me for a loop because every single page I flipped, I was not expecting it to be this really interesting story about two young men growing up and trying to understand who they are, and Ari trying to understand like who he is and trying to unleash that anger inside of him. And then you have Dante, who's struggling with not just his sexuality but also his culture dynamic and how he feels about his parents, and just everything in his life is completely different than Ari. And you get these two separate, very strong, intelligent characters, and it's just interesting to see how he wrote it. I fell in love with it just strictly because it's not mostly about like a romance relationship, it's about a friendship, and it doesn't really have a plot where it always comes to like, this is the reason they got together, this is the reason why this happened, yada. No. The reason this whole book exists is because Dante talked to Aristotle and Aristotle became friends with Dante. And it's a sweet, interesting book, especially one that I've never read before. I've never actually read any books that have Mexican Americans in it, and it's just really interesting to see like the culture dynamic in it, because I totally understand how Dante feels about not really feeling like a Mexican American, because what do you know about Mexico? Nothing, because I am American. So I kind of understood that, and also Dante's whole being stuck in his head and then reading books. I could relate to them in some form or fashion, and it was a really enjoyable read and I really did like it. So that's all I had to do for my fangirl talk, because otherwise I will spoil it. So if you guys have read the story, tell me what you thought about it. Like, did you like it? Did you not like it? Like, what was your issues with it? Please keep it spoiler free. And for those of you guys who haven't, are you guys gonna read it or are you not? Is there a reason for it? So yeah, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe. If not, that's cool. I usually try to upload Monday, Wednesdays, or Fridays. So yeah, I'll catch you later. Whoa.